Hello, and welcome to Colorado College. Today, we are beginning our series of town halls where we hope to help communicate out to all of you some of the plans for bringing all of the faculty, staff, and students back to campus this fall. Today, myself and Director Amy Hill will be moderating our panel. We have a wonderful group of folks here to help answer the many questions that you have. And without further ado, we'll introduce who is on the panel today. My name is Ryan Hammis. I serve as the Director of Outdoor Education, and I use the pronouns he, him, his.
Sorry about that, y'all. I was having some technical difficulties getting all the screens set up correctly. My name is Amy Hill. I'm Director of Campus Activities and Student Orientation, and I use the she series of pronouns.
Hi, everybody. My name is Bethany Grubbs, and I'm the Director of the Residential Experience at Colorado College. Happy to have you all here. I use the she, her, hers pronouns.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Rochelle Dickey. I use she, her, hers pronouns, and I am the acting Dean of Students and the acting Vice President for Student Life. Good afternoon, everyone.
Hello, my name is Heather Horton. I'm the Director of the Wellness Resource Center, and I use she, her, hers.
Hi, I'm Emily Chan. I'm the Director of the Bridge Program, she, her pronoun.
The purpose of this panel is to give you all some more insight into our plans to welcome new students to campus this August. Given the current context of COVID-19, we certainly don't have all the answers, and we expect some of these things to change, as I'm sure things are changing very quickly where you are all from. But we want to spend some time focusing on the things that will remain constant about the new student experience, as well as help to explain the why behind the what and reassure you that there is a great team of bright and caring faculty and staff designing programs that will prioritize your needs and make sure that you and your student are successful here at Colorado College. While we will not be able to answer all of your questions today due to how many folks are on, please know that we're saving all of your questions and we're going to submit them for future town halls. I encourage you all to log on to those, as well as know that all of these are being recorded. And so if there's some folks that could not be here live in person, they will have transcripts as well to watch and view later. So we also want to recognize that there's other members of our campus community that aren't necessarily new students. And we ask that you hold some of your questions for future panels as well. So now let's get started.
Hi, everyone. As I said, I'm Bethany Grubbs. I'm the Director of the Residential Experience, and I'm going to kick us off today by talking a little bit about what you can expect from the residential experience. Things are going to look a little bit different in the coming year, and we know that, and we ask for your patience with it. But there's a few things that are really going to stay the same, and those are the things that I want to highlight and certainly let you know what you can expect. So our goal within the residential experience is to foster community. We talk a lot with students about how their decisions impact the community, how they can help to be an active community member, how they can engage within their community, and how they can really find their space within it. We also provide a lot of safety measures. So we have an on-call system, we have staff oversight, and we have a lot of systems in place. And of course, there's going to be a lot of new systems in place this year as we navigate COVID and we navigate the pandemic and we navigate student safety within that. And then our third major goal within the residential experience is to really assist students in connecting to the resources of the college. We have a multitude of resources, a number of staff and faculty and people who are so eager and willing to make this an excellent year for our students despite the obstacles. And so our staff is one of our main goals within the residences is to really serve as a one-stop shop so that our students can bring us their questions and we can help connect them to answers. I want to highlight the staff that we have within the residence halls. We have 6 professional, majority master's level residential life coordinators that live in the residence halls and are a part of the community themselves. We also have 60 student leader resident advisors. And as you could see from the email the other day, our resident advisors are going to be returning to campus. So we anticipate being able to be fully staffed. First year students should be at about a max of 35 students per RA. So we really are going to be able to maintain that high level of touch with our students and that high level of support for our students. We also have 3 full-time front desk coordinators, as well as maintenance staff and housing staff. We have that on-call structure, which is 24/7, 365, and that's really put in place so that we can help our students to maintain a safe and really thoroughly enjoyable college experience. And we believe that we can do that with a lot of innovation in how we go about our programming in the coming year. So, many of you might be wondering, what's it going to look like and how am I going to make friends when I get to college? And so many people, not just the residential experience, but certainly those within the residential experience as well, are going to be helping with that process. First, in order to maintain as much safety as we can, we're decreasing some of the density in the residence halls and residences. And so you were able to see from the email that there will be no triple rooms that are triple occupied doubles. But we will still have residential communities, and we're going to be looking to really enhance the experience within those. First years will start off with small community meetings with our RAs. They're going to do campus and city tours. And we're really going to be exercising some innovation and flexibility in programming and do a lot of programming in virtual spaces and outdoors. And then we get to the crux of our student support model, and that's our one-to-one intentional conversations model. So students can expect that resident advisors will connect with them right off the bat and do one-to-one meetings that are based in student development theory and guidance to help them to really reflect on their learning and growth and identify individual needs so that we can help to meet those needs. Students will be able to choose the format this year. So depending on their comfort level, they can select to meet with their RA in a virtual meeting in a Zoom space, a responsible in-person meeting, text chat, email, web form. We really want to give students the driving seat to decide how these happen, but we do want to make sure that our RAs are making personal connections with our students. Amy, you can advance to the next slide. So one of the things that I actually do want to mention is that regardless of whether or not students elect to come physically to campus this fall, they can expect that they are a member of our community. And so many of the things that I actually discussed on that last slide, the one-to-one conversation model and the programming that will happen largely in virtual spaces, those are things that our students can engage in regardless of whether or not they're on campus. And so we really don't want to forget those that might not be able to make it to campus or might elect not to. And they can expect to see a lot of those programmatic efforts as well and still be able to engage in the campus community in that way. But for students who are electing to come and take residency at the college, we have a move-in plan that is, still being tweaked and still being modified. But what we're doing is really spreading the move out over 3 days, Friday through Sunday, August 14th through 16th. This will give us the ability to spread things out a little bit. If anybody has ever seen one of our move-ins before, it can be really packed with people. And so that's something that we're really trying to avoid and spread out those move-ins a little bit. And so you will be invited to register for a move-in date and time so that we can ensure that that is spread out a little bit more and we don't have that condensing that happens on a move-in day. Also, along that line, students will be permitted one guest to help them move in. We know that this might be a hardship, but it's really, again, that effort to make sure that we are really keeping things as minimal as possible to minimize the risk. And then safety measures and social distancing will be in place. So on move-in day, for those of you who do elect to come and move in, you can expect that RAs and NSO leaders and many smiling faces will be here to welcome you behind those masks. The other thing that I want to mention is that I know that many of you are probably eagerly awaiting your housing assignment and where you will live. That is a process that we're working on. And as you'll see later on in the program, we have to first ascertain who is going to be here in person and in residency on campus, and who might not be able to get to campus or who might be electing to not come to campus before we can really start making those housing assignments. But we will have a housing and dining town hall that will be available at the end of next week to answer a lot more of those questions. So with that said, that is my quick overview. I'm going to pass it to Emily Chan, the director of the Bridge program.
Hi there, everyone. So for the Bridge Scholars Program, this is an optional program. Some of you have received an invitation to participate in it. The Bridge Scholars Program is for our first-gen students from historically underrepresented populations at CC, and also students who applied to CC through various community partnership programs, such as Cliffs Bridge and the Schuler Scholars and a number of other organizations. So if you have an invitation and you haven't responded to us, definitely get in touch. We do have a wait list now. We are full at 130 student capacity, but if you want to be a part of it, definitely get in touch. So a little bit more about the program, right? So this is a part of the college's early arrivals program. And so colleague will talk to you a little bit more about the other parts of the college, other groups of students who come in early to CC, but we're definitely one of them. So typically students come 2 weeks before new student orientation starts. So this year, we have yet to finalize the exact move-in date, just like what Bethany talked to you a little bit earlier, that we are trying to make sure that we have a scheduling system so that people can have, a time slot where where the student and one other person can help them with the move-in. So once we have the logistics worked out, we will email students and families to let you know about the move-in for the Bridge Scholars Program. So that's definitely one of the adaptations that we have this year about with that when we will exactly move in. Expect that is most likely the Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday of August, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. Again, we will be in touch with the exact details about signing up and the dates for moving in. Students will be moving into the permanent room for the year, so you only need to move in once, and that's an important, part of the program. So we minimize students needing to move their possessions and the need to clean rooms in between the programs. So the goal of this program is to essentially help our Bridge scholars, claim the entirety of the CC experience. So if you think about the CC experience, we have a component that is academic, a component that is about relationship and mentoring, and then a component that is about leadership development. So again, while there are going to be changes due to COVID, what we know are constant are these goals. And so we will have all 6 of the posted courses, the Bridge Scholars Program courses, that is equivalent to a half block. They're all running. They will all be ready for students who are on campus. So there will be some face-to-face instruction. And then there will also be some asynchronous as well as synchronous online elements of the learning to help us make sure that we don't crowd too many students into one classroom. And so again, those details are some things that we are working out right now with the faculty, how they want to teach it. We will not have off-campus field trips. So used to be, if you have spoken to other Bridge students before and the families, we tend to do field trips over the weekend to get to know the city, go outdoors and go hiking and do stuff like that. This year, we won't be doing off-campus field trip that need us to get into vans and buses, but there might be some walking local trips to get to know, the downtown area. Students are expected to stay on campus over the Bridge weekend. So, we start on, Tuesday or Wednesday, right? The classes and then extend over the full 9 days of class. This year, especially, we ask that students do not leave campus over the weekend. So even if you live locally within the state, we ask you to stay. Again, that is part of our COVID response. And then let's see. There are, we know that there are some students who, after, you discuss more with your families and learn more about the college's response to COVID in terms of classroom and housing and safety and health, you might choose that, you really don't want to be on campus this fall. Maybe you will start those classes online instead. And we will also have options for students who need to start online for the Bridge program. You will still have the same level of mentoring from your peers, same level of advising and mentoring from your faculty. And we will just double down on and really work hard on the community building, on student mentoring, and on faculty advising. So if you have more questions about the Bridge program, do get in touch. Thank you. And then I'm passing on. I think, Ryan, would you like to talk a little bit about all the early arrivals?
Amy is actually going to be the one to talk about
Amy.
To tell you a little bit more. In addition to the Bridge program, we do have some other populations that typically arrive earlier than new student orientation. For instance, international students. We know right now there's different regulations and restrictions that are making securing visas a little bit challenging, to say the least, at the moment. And so we really encourage you to stay in constant communication with the staff of international student and scholar services about your ability to arrive on campus in either August or January, so that we can plan accordingly. There could potentially also be the opportunity for you to enroll in online classes from outside of the US. And if that is going to be the case and you're going to be able to take advantage of that, we do ask that you plan to participate in NSO programming between August 17th and August 23rd. We will have that offered via live streaming, as well as within Canvas, our learning management system, so that you get credit for attending those sessions. But it's very important before you join our academic community, and that you have an understanding of what our expectations for you are in the classroom as a member of our community, so that we can have an inclusive and educational environment. Fall athletes are also going to be arriving at different dates on campus for practice and those sorts of things. Your coaches will be in touch with you about those movement dates and procedures. But regardless of when you are arriving, if you are arriving early for the Bridge Scholars Program or for international orientation or fall athletics, we are committed to providing a socially distanced move-in that will allow you a long window to get in and out of the building with as least interaction with others as possible. And we'll be asking that you limit yourself to one guest during those move-in experiences. So in regards to the NSO experience, we have really worked intentionally to make sure that we are prioritizing your safety, preserving the impactful experience that an on-campus experience or NSO provides, while we're also achieving the same outcomes of our historic NSO programs. We're taking guidance from current state and campus guidelines, as well as our local health department, to make sure that we are doing this right. And because of that, we are doing our best to relieve some of the burden of the in-person programming so that you'll be in small groups, but also you'll have the opportunity to start learning about Colorado College beginning this month, tomorrow, in fact. Before NSO, we are going to be offering a series of virtual Choose Your Own Adventure sessions, informal meet and greets, community building opportunities. And those will vary. So we'll be sending out that information in the CC Bound newsletters, as well as putting it on the CC Bound website. But an example, some of our interns that are on campus this summer are going to do a tour around campus that you can join on our Instagram Live tomorrow. The NSO interns in outdoor education every Thursday afternoon are providing social informal meeting groups. Then there will just be ways for you to start building community in advance to coming to campus in August. Then we are also going to be introducing some new pre-orientation online modules in Canvas. So at this point on June 30th, you should have submitted your advising form, your CC100 registration form, your housing forms, started thinking about your advising appointments. There's a lot of checklist items that are due by the end of the day today. And two of those things were alcohol EDU as well as sexual assault prevention for undergraduates. To supplement that information, as well as add new information about community standards around COVID and how we're going to interact with each other, as well as content for our required sessions. There will be Canvas modules that you'll need to complete in advance of moving in on campus. And then after in-person sessions, we'll be doing little quizzes or ways to make sure that you attended the sessions. We'll be in constant communication with our CC Bound newsletters and having other opportunities for panels and Q&As that are speaking more to your interests and needs at the time. Then during NSO, there is going to be the socially distanced move-in from August 14th through the 16th. And we'll be doing a split day schedule where we'll be breaking the class into smaller groups and giving you the opportunity to engage with required content sessions in those small groups, as well as still having the opportunity to do pretty experiences and learn about Colorado Springs, do service, bond with each other, get to know each other. And like I said, there's going to be a hybrid. There's going to be some sessions that are going to be face-to-face, some sessions that are virtual, that you can be on campus and participate in orientation in a way that's going to, again, meet your needs and your comfort level, but get all of the same information that we need for you to know before you can start classes. Similarly, to international students, if you're going to be enrolling in classes online remotely this fall, we expect you to participate in NSO in between August 17th and August 23rd, and we'll make more information available about that later. But I'm going to pass it off to Ryan to quickly talk about the Pretty Experience more in depth.
The Pretty Experience is a great opportunity for all of you students to connect in small groups, and that bonding we just know is like so important to start off your time here at CC the right way. And it's all led by your peers that are sophomores, juniors, and seniors. So we have about 150 different NSO leaders. And so you'll be split up into groups of around 10 people. And so that allows us to really have intentional conversations around the various topics that were covered in those presentations on campus, as well as to just simply have fun. And we know that this is a big transition in your life, and we want you to really connect with the place, the people, and the program that we have here at CC. And we do that in a couple unique ways. We just find that connecting with the community is very important. And so the community engagement piece, we will be working with a number of different service providers, doing a lot of different service work throughout the community. And it's everything from trail building to fire mitigation to doing projects for local nonprofit organizations. And we're also thinking about different unique ways that we can also be really impactful in these difficult times and help our community members. And besides the community engagement, we also want to be able to connect with this place. And we do that in a number of different ways. And we will be certainly exploring the local parks and regional areas, as well as museums and things that make it culturally enhancing for Colorado Springs. And then at nighttime, we like to have these, what we call fireside chats, where we really dive a little bit deeper, and it's staff and faculty aren't there. And so they're really authentic conversations that happen among their peers and have a little bit of that mentorship from the students that have been at CC for quite some time, as well as just developing team building and good communication skills and really setting folks up for success as they start their first block of class. And then to talk a little bit about the family orientation, I will hand that back over to Amy to talk about that.
Thanks, Ryan. So as we have mentioned a few times, and I see a lot of questions coming in the comments, to allow for proper social distancing and to limit the number of individual unique guests on campus, students will be allowed only one guest to assist with move-in. So I know some of you might have two parents traveling with you to campus, and we ask that that other parent or family member or supporter remain off campus while the two of you work in getting your room settled. There are plans for students to only be allowed one guest in the room at a time during the school year. And so we need to start doing that now, but also to prioritize the safety of our staff and our students and everyone else that's going to be helping with move-in. The family programming that we will be offering is going to be, for the majority, completely online. And that is, again, to decrease the density and the number of guests that we're going to have on campus for the move-in days. So some of the other questions that are coming up in the chat box is, does my family member need to stay on campus, or my supporter, from August 14th through the 16th? No, they just need to be here for that day that you are physically moving into the room. During or before move-in, we'll be communicating them with CC Bound newsletters from Jana Jones in alumni and family programs. We're encouraging you all to attend these town halls and staff panels to get your other questions answered. And we're also in the process of organizing virtual summer welcome parties. And so keep an eye on your emails for more information about that soon. On move-in day, again, family members and guests will be limited to one guest who are with them on campus. We will have a resource and connections table that will answer questions and pass out information to the guest. But then after you've returned home and you're no longer on campus, we'll be offering more virtual programming, such as panel discussions, workshops, information sessions that will be specifically for new families and new family members and new supporters of Colorado College students, as well as the information you typically get in the Around the Block newsletters. So now I'm going to transition over to Heather Horton to talk a little bit more about the support services that we offer.
Thanks, Amy. At CC, our goal is really to help everyone on our campus thrive. There's a difference, for instance, between making it through your 4 years of college and surviving and actually thriving. And our goal is thriving for every member of our campus community, student, staff, and faculty. And part of the way that we do that is that we've been working on developing a much more integrated care model. And what you see on your screen is an example of how that integrated care model works with regard to mental health. That there are many, many, many points of entry for students in seeking support, building their own skills, and getting help when they need it. And this really relates to your own growth. Bethany earlier mentioned that the residential experience programming is based on student development. And we're really interested in helping you to develop into the people that you want to be. And part of that is building your own self-awareness and skills for managing challenges in your life, but also knowing who your resources are. And truthfully, if today may not even be the first time that you hear this message, but at CC, we are a highly resourced institution. We have lots and lots and lots of resources for you, and we want you to use them. And we want for students to recognize that engaging those resources is a sign of strength, and that successful students really do that. And Amy, if you could advance the slide. I want to share with you a little bit about the kinds of support resources that you might see on campus around health and well-being, with the caveat that, again, we're approaching you as whole people. And so there may be touch points for your well-being that might be, certainly your faculty members. They might be the folks in Bon Appetit who you see every day when you're swiping in to get a meal. But the kinds of resources that you might be thinking about include what you see on the screen here. And since the disruptions that happened this spring with COVID-19, all of these resources have moved online for this period of time. But in the fall, we're expecting to have, as Amy was describing, a hybrid of in-person and virtual supports and experiences. In our Student Health Center, we actually contract with a local large practice called Optum to run our health clinic. And that really operates to help students understand a very complicated healthcare system, right? In the United States, and in the last few months, maybe even more of us have become keenly aware of how complicated accessing healthcare can be. And so the Student Health Center is a place where you're going to use your insurance card, you're going to have those kinds of conversations, but we're also providing you with support and consistency of providers. We have 2 providers at the health center who are there, not both of them every day, but across the 7 days of the week. You just see those 2 providers. And students really appreciate that, I think. In the counseling center, again, we're going to have in-person and virtual supports that folks can access both for more emergent kinds of things. So if you have a sore throat, you might be accessing the virtual healthcare through Optum, or you might be accessing a counselor on call or through our sort of Talk Now system that we have with the counseling center. Spiritual well-being is also a really important part of a holistic picture of human beings. And we have a wonderful campus chaplain, and she and her staff do a lot of programming, again, virtual and in person. And she also provides pastoral care to folks as they go through their experience here at CC. Accessibility resources, I think that you might be hearing from our colleagues in that office in another town hall meeting, but a super important resource who, again, are going to have opportunities to connect virtually and in person, as well as our colleagues in the Butler Center, which is our hub for inclusion, equity, and diversity efforts on campus. And you'll be able to see them and interact with them virtually. The same with the Career Center and our financial aid office. And I really want to point out that link at the bottom of the screen there. Certainly you can write that down and then go to the webpage if you like. But if you go to the CC webpage, you'll see on the main menu bar at the top, you'll see Life at CC, and then you'll go down and you'll see support resources. And we've developed a whole bunch of supports that include resources that are available from our staff here on campus, as well as virtual resources and community resources that might be near you where you're living at this moment in time, and cover a variety of topics that we know students have been experiencing challenge in. So do check that out. And Amy, if you can advance the slide for us again. At CC, we have a long-standing commitment to this belief that each of us has a really, really important role to play in creating a safe, healthy community in which each of us can thrive. And part of that is you'll get introduced to this concept during the course of NSO activities, but our Badass Active Bystander Intervention campaign. And the BADASS stands for Be Aware, Decide to Act, and Say Something. And this concept of citizenry and engaged citizenship in our community at CC has always been important to us, has been a part of how we prevent violence, how we promote mental health and prevent suicide and address inequity and discrimination. It also is a really important component for us as we try to prevent the spread of any illness, including COVID-19. And that means that we be aware, we educate ourselves about the things that might be concerns for our community. We take responsibility and decide to act and overcome some of the barriers that might challenge us. So some of you may be out and about in your communities and see people who are wearing their masks wrong, right? They've got their mask down underneath their nose, and that's not actually helping anyone, right? And so most of us probably feel a little bit uncomfortable actually saying something. And so part of our commitment to one another at CC is, again, educating ourselves, recognizing that we have responsibility to help keep our communities safe, and saying something, actually saying, hey, Heather, did you know that when you wear your mask under your nose, it actually doesn't provide any protection for anyone? And for instance, here at CC, and I meant to have my mask here to sort of show you, but I'll be wearing a mask when I'm here at work to protect you. And I expect the same from you, that you will do the same for me and look out for me in a variety of different ways. And with that, I'll pass it back to Amy, because I think we're about at the point for questions.
Thank you, Heather. So it is the time for questions, and questions have been coming in the question box. And I know there's been some questions that have been coming through on Facebook as well. So thanks to Zach and Jana, who are behind the scenes feeding us those questions so we can answer as many as possible. So if you send the questions in the chat, I will relay them and have different panelists chime in to answer, but also recognize that we can't answer all of your questions because they're outside of our areas of expertise, or we're still in the process of making decisions right now. So all of the questions that are coming in right now will show up in our transcript and the recording of the session, and we will answer them on the FAQ pages as well as in future emails that we're sending, and we're also sharing them with the panelists that are going to be the other town halls so that they can address them as well. So to get us started, Bethany, there was a few questions about housing and specifically about triples. You mentioned that there was not going to be any triple occupancy doubles. Will there be triple occupancy triples? If people requested to be in triples, will that be granted? You get the gist.
Absolutely. So thank you for those questions. At this point, I'll address the doubles first because I saw that question come in as well. And I did just get that number recently from our partners in housing. We already have about 190 students who have mutually selected a roommate to live in a double with. And so we would honor those. Absolutely. We also, many students can expect to have a roommate coming in. It is a pretty standard way to start out the first year. And we have been working in compliance with health officials and finding ways in order to mitigate risk in that. And then some of our triple rooms across campus are actually quite large. So we're looking at those also being able to be triples, particularly if students are looking to live in them and are mutually naming to other roommates who they'd like to live in those with. But as I mentioned, somebody in the chat mentioned the situation last year where we had a lot of triple occupied doubles because we were over occupancy. We have plans in place to be able to house everybody in a less congested way this year, which we're excited about.
Thank you, Bethany. So some of the other questions that we're getting are about the registration process for move-in. And I know that you and I in housing are still working on that process, but I don't know if you want to talk a little bit more in detail about what you imagine that would look like, as well as when we anticipate having that wrapped up.
Absolutely. And thank you for that question as well. I know that folks who are, may already have travel plans or be itching to make travel plans are really eagerly awaiting that registration process. But I wanted to give a couple of talking points just to let you know why we haven't opened it just yet. One of the things is that I really want to give advance notice so that it isn't just going to pop open and, oops, you were out on a hike and you missed it. it and now your time slot is closed. We want to be able to give advance notice so that you can put it in your calendars and you can say, okay, it opens on this day. The other thing is that I want students to have some time to be able to make an informed decision about how they are going to spend their fall. And so not to put students at a disadvantage for registering for a move-in time slot if they are still on the fence about what their fall plans are. So we will give advance notice. We might have more information at the housing town hall, but I do hear that folks are really itching to get on that registration form, and so we will try and get it out to you as soon as possible.
Thank you, Bethany. I'm going to give you a little bit of a break. There are some more questions that I might volley your direction, but Heather, there was someone who asked about insurance and how can they tell if Colorado College accepts their insurance?
Yeah, there were actually a couple of questions about insurance that I saw. So in terms of whether your insurance plan will be accepted at the CC Student Health Center, Optum, which is our provider, accepts most health insurance plans. And so it's pretty rare that we have the experience that students say that Optum does not take their health insurance. However, you're welcome to call the health center. That's 719-389-6384, and they'll be able to tell you whether they work with your insurance plan. With regard to health insurance, this is a really important question that probably most of us have realized the incredible importance of it for everyone's daily life these days. At CC, we do require that all students have health insurance. And if you go on the CC website and put insurance into the search bar, that'll take you to the webpage that explains the plan that we offer for students, as well as the waiver criteria. So if you have a health plan that you're on right now and you really love it, and you want to see if we'll accept that plan, there are criteria on that webpage, and also contact information if you have additional questions about that. Each year at CC, all students need to complete either a waiver or enrollment process for the student health insurance plan. And that process opens tomorrow, July 1st, for the fall. So you can go ahead in there and either waive or enroll. And for the waiver process, you just have to have your insurance card with you. It takes a couple of minutes. And the same thing for enrolling. It just takes a couple of minutes. There are a couple of advantages of that student health insurance plan. I'd be happy to talk with folks about that. If you want to reach out to me, I can give you more information as well.
Awesome. Thank you, Heather. One of the questions that I can answer is about transfer students. And so transfer students are invited to move back or come to campus for the first time with the first year students. And so if you are a new student, including an upper division transfer student, you qualify to move in on August 14th to August 16th. One caveat there, it is possible that you will move in and you'll be in person, but your classes might be online or remote, depending upon what is available and being offered in person. So I just want to be clear about that. But transfer students would still be expected to participate in NSO, either in person or virtual, between August 17th and August 23rd. There's also several questions coming up about academic advising and what that process looks like. And so there will be academic town halls later this week and into next week, but I can quickly tell you that your advisors from the advising hub will start reaching out soon, if they haven't already, to begin conversations with you, to get to know you, and talk about your CC 100 and 120 placement, which we call the first year program. And so they'll work with you through that placement. The advising and FYP registration form is due today. So if you haven't submitted that already, please do that, because that will kind of give your advisor a pathway to begin those conversations and talk to you about enrollment for blocks 1 and 2, as well as looking ahead to blocks 3 and 4 and into the spring. So keep an eye out. Those emails will go to your Colorado College email address. So be sure to check that email address, and they're not going to be from me, and they're not going to be from orientation. They're going to be from an individual staff member at Colorado College. If you don't hear from your advisor soon, you can go to the Advising Hub's website, and there is a list of the advisors there and the possibility to schedule folks, just whoever is available when you're available. But priority is to make that relationship with your own advisor. Emily, there's a few questions about Bridge. You said to expect people to have move-in from August 3rd to the August 5th.
August 2nd to the 4th.
Sorry, August 2nd to the 4th. Should people start buying plane tickets? Do you want them to hold off until you give them a final word on that?
Yeah, please hold off until we will email you again to the students' Colorado College email address, because we do need to coordinate with our residential life colleagues to make sure that we have the time slots, and just like what Bethany said earlier, we want to give you people a heads up to sign up for those move-in time slots so that nobody is just happened to be on the email and caught the sign up window, right? We want to give everybody time to plan their move-in, and so wait for a few more days, and we will give you the details on exactly when and how to sign up. So don't buy your tickets yet. Thank you.
Thanks for that, Emily. So another question that came in is, what NSO resources are there, if any, for students with learning differences? Which is a great question. And so I work closely with Jan Edwards and Sarah Rotuno in the Office of Accessibility Resources to make sure that our programming is accessible as possible. For instance, today we have closed captioning for this presentation, if you haven't been able to see that or take advantage of it yet. And whatever we are designing for our required sessions, whether it be in Canvas or live streaming, we're committed to making it accessible in that format. Sarah and Jan are also beginning meetings with students who have learning differences or anticipate needing accommodations. And so on the CC Bound website, you can find the forms that you need to fill out to begin those conversations. The sooner you can begin those conversations, the better for both your own needs, but also for those of us planning, because then we're able to be as proactive and responsive as possible to those needs in our considerations. And they can help you work with faculty and whoever else that you need to get your accommodations in place. So the sooner you can get those in, the better, but there is no hard deadline. At any point through your Colorado College experience, you can apply for accommodations and resources. So it's not like one and done. If you don't do that today, you're not going to be eligible for it down the road. So someone asked about when will the registration for move-in be coming? It will be coming via email. Like Bethany said, we're still working on that process, but it would be in a CC Bound newsletter to both parents and students. But we want to make sure that when it is live and when you fill it out, that only one person fills it out. That you're not filling it out multiple times, or parents aren't filling it out on behalf of students. So do sit down and discuss your plans in advance of filling out that form. I see a lot of questions talking about parents and whether or not there can be a trade-off of one person there for 2 hours, one person there for the other 2 hours. Right now, our policy and our plan is one student, one guest. It just is going to limit density on campus, and it will be the best plan at this time. Should that change, we will be sure to communicate that, but I think you should plan on one student, one guest for the 4-hour move-in period. Some other questions that are coming in: can Winter Start students take virtual classes if they participate in NSO, or are we going to talk about the Winter Start experience at all right now? So I honestly don't know about Winter Starts taking classes remotely in advance. I'll need to check with admissions on that and figure out what that would look like and if that's a possibility. So stay tuned for an answer for that. We're not going to talk too much about the Winter Start experience today because things are so constantly changing and we don't know what January will look like. And so we do know our anticipated dates. That will be in between January 22nd and 25th, I believe. And so those are the dates that we're planning for. So students who are starting in Winter Start would start in Block 6. They wouldn't start for J term or Block 5. But as we have a better idea of what January will look like and what our programs will look like, we will be in touch with you about that. But Winter Starts are more than welcome to begin taking advantage of the Choose Your Own Adventure sessions that we're offering this July and getting plugged into resources and connections. I'm just unclear of whether you would be able to enroll in classes remotely at this point. I'm just looking through questions to get some of these out of here.
Amy, I can jump in real quick. I saw one question up in the chat about if you have to have a parent or a guest accompany you for move-in. And that is certainly not required. We will, we give a lot of support on the ground once our students arrive. And so if parents elect not to come, that is absolutely okay. There was sort of a sub question underneath that about assistance in getting transportation from the airport. And we don't do anything concretely on that part, but we can always help students to navigate that issue and navigate that concern.
Thank you, Bethany. So I've also seen a lot of questions about gap years. We are currently working with the admissions office to reopen a gap year request process. It will be open for a very finite period of time. And it's important that, when you're requesting a gap year or a gap semester, you need to have something meaningful to do during that time. So that's not really changing. We want to make sure that that time that you would be spending away from campus or away from classes is going to be intentionally used to better your growth and yourself as a person, and not just be an extended vacation. And that when you're coming back to campus for 2021, you'll have the opportunity to really add even more value to our campus and our community. So as that process gets nailed down, we will communicate that to you, and we will be we'll let you know kind of where we stand with that. So a question that just came in, Ryan, about the Pretty Experience. Has Pretty Experience registration opens? When does it close? Do you have any thoughts on that?
Yes, the Pretty Experience registration is open. I believe today is the deadline, although we always have a few folks that do register late, and we start the planning process of kind of placing those students into their groups around mid-July. So if you haven't done it yet, please do quickly, as there's a lot of factors to put into place for placing all of you into your desired group type for those trips. But it is open, and you'll use your Colorado College credentials that should have been emailed to you, and it's through our platform that we call Summit. And there's a number of offices that utilize that, but click on the outdoor education link, as well as our various wonderful interns will probably be reaching out to you directly if you haven't already registered for that.
Thank you, Ryan. So there is a question about mailing or shipping belongings to CC if you're flying. Yes, you are allowed to mail belongings in advance. And the next email that you get from us, if not the one that's coming tomorrow, it'll be one early next week. We'll have your temporary shipping address. In August, you'll be assigned your Warner box number, and that will be the number that you need to have on all of your mail so that it gets to the right place. So there's a lot of questions about the flexibility of the academic calendar and the plans. And I just want to make sure that y'all make note of attending the academic webinar that is coming up, where they'll be better answered, prepared to answer those questions, as well as information about testing, prevention, mask. Heather will be having another webinar next week on July 9th that will dive more deeply in detail to those plans as well as answer those questions. And then will people be there to help you move in, or will it just be you and your parent or family member? Bethany, do you want to answer that one quickly?
Yeah, absolutely. So because of our dispersed move-in days, we will have a great number of RAs and NSO leaders who will be able to be those helping hands that will welcome you to campus and help to carry things if that is within your comfort level. That's a great question. And while I've actually unmuted, I can answer another question as well about Thanksgiving. A lot of people are asking about Thanksgiving and travel. And over our fall break period, students do have the opportunity to elect to stay on campus over that fall break. So if they are staying in person for Block 4, then there will be an opportunity for them to fill out a form letting us know that they would like to stay over fall break. So I've received that question a couple of times. And of course, then refer to the email and the academic calendar as to if you choose to travel over fall break, then the fourth block should be taken remotely.
Thanks, Bethany. There's a few questions about housing that I can answer, rattle off the top of my head. Yes, there will be a list that we share with you about what to bring with you to campus for your room, as well if there's additional things that you need to bring this year that wouldn't be on that list. For the Choose Your Own Adventure sessions, the outdoor ed interns and the Office of Campus Activities interns are planning to have a tour of the residence halls room, so you can see that as well as give their insider information as current students about what you would like to pack. All dorms have beds, desks, drawers in every single room. Bethany, are there refrigerators in every room as well?
Yes, in fact, there are micro fridges. So they come standard within our residence hall rooms in the large 3 halls.
And then someone asked if whether or not, if they have no family members coming to campus, so we will be providing transportation. At this point, we do not have plans for that, but there are local transportation options and shuttles that are beginning running. And so we'll make sure to put that information on our website and let you know whether any other plans change. Panelists, I don't know if y'all see any final questions that you would like to quickly answer before we conclude.
I did see another question about insurance. Someone was asking about whether financial aid packages would cover the cost of insurance or if there are discounts. In terms of financial aid, your best strategy is to talk with our financial aid office because they make a determination about whether they can give a grant or whether there are other strategies for covering the health insurance cost. And if after you have a conversation with financial aid, you have additional questions about options in that waiver enrollment process, do feel free to reach out to me.
Okay. Well, thank you again to all of our panelists for coming and sharing a little bit more about your areas of expertise so people have a better idea of what to expect during new student orientation and their first block on campus. There were over 200 questions submitted in the chat box, and we were only able to get to about 30 of those. And so I would like to also thank you all for your patience and know that you're welcome to email your questions to COVID-19 at Colorado College, but we will also be passing on this chat transcript to all of the other panelists, as well as the folks who manage the COVID-19 FAQ. If you have any questions specifically about orientation or the enrollment process, you can email my office at orientation@coloradocollege.edu. Know that we will start up sending our CC-bound newsletters again, and recording and links from today's town hall will be shared with students via email. They'll also be made available on the Colorado College Facebook page, where this has also been live streaming. And so you can see them there, as well as I'm sure of a few other places. So we also ask that you let us know our plans so that we can plan accordingly. There are some unknowns and some final questions and things that we know you want answered before you make your decision for the fall. We will be sending out kind of an update form where you can share more information with us. So we know whether you're to expect you in person for Block 1 or whether you will be in your home country or in your hometown. So we can match you with CC 100 enrollments and other tracks during NSO. So stay tuned for that, as well as the deadline for that form. And please tune in to our additional town halls. There's one on NCAA athletics on Thursday with the coaching staff and Leslie Irvine. There's a session on academics with our interim provost and our vice provost and our director of the CC or the academic programs that will speak more to what you can expect in the academic experience. Then again, Heather and her team and other campus colleagues will talk about safe testing on Thursday, July 9th. And just in right as we started this presentation on Friday, July 10th, Bethany, colleagues from campus dining and other colleagues from housing will dive more specifically into those questions. So we look forward to seeing you at those town halls. Again, thank you for your patience and all of your great questions. And we look forward to seeing you soon.